Hi, I'm Bob Phelan, and I'm here to tell you about the Ozarks Shutter Junkies, a local photography club that started about a year and a half ago. Our goal is to have fun, take better pictures, and learn from each other. If you would like to join us, you can simply go to Facebook, where it's Ozarks Shutter Junkies, and ask to join. And we'd be more than happy to approve your membership, and you can join in the fun. Today, we are introducing Nathanael Siders. He's a local photographer, a macro photographer most specifically, who has done incredible work. Nathanael, you're a fifth grade teacher at the St. James Elementary School.
Yes, I am.
And you teach what grade?
Fifth grade.
Okay. What do you like about teaching fifth grade?
I just love watching the kids learn, loving the spark you see whenever they finally get that thing that they've been working on pretty hard. So it's just very enjoyable to watch those students learn and excel.
And what do they think about your hobby of macro photography?
Oh, they think it's really neat. I have lots of bug pictures that I put up in my classroom. We have different groups, and I use bug pictures to name the groups, and the kids really think it's neat, always asking questions about the different types of bugs and spiders. Okay.
Everybody likes to take pictures of different things. What got you so involved with crawling around looking for things that move and that are very tiny?
When I first started shooting, I spent a lot of time trying to find what style of photography really fit me and that I really enjoyed. I tried everything from portraits, which was okay, but the subjects are different each time, and I had a hard time judging what each subject would be like whenever I did portraits. I did some landscapes and went through a lot of different things and got my first kind of inexpensive macro lens and started shooting some of that and just fell in love immediately. I just find it amazing to be able to see all the details up close that you can't see from your naked eye, being able to see those bugs that most people walk by and don't even see. It's really neat. It's like another little world.
Cool. Well, you said macro lens. Just what is a macro lens?
A macro lens is a lens that's designed to shoot pictures of things really up close. So it takes really small objects and it just magnifies them to a larger image so that you can see things that you can't really see with a normal lens.
Well, tell us a little bit about how you go out on a specific shoot. Do you simply head out into the backyard and see what's there, or do you have resources that you turn towards where you might find specific kinds of insects?
I do. Most all of my pictures are out of my backyard. It kind of people are surprised to see that there's that many different types of bugs and spiders in their backyard, but most of them I find in my backyard. Wasp spiders, for example, they are usually on the ground, so I can look through the yard on the grass and find them. Jumping spiders are very curious, so you just learn about where different spiders are going to be based on the habitat and the way that they live.
Now, you said the other day that jumping spiders actually have a personality. Can you describe that, please?
Yeah, really all bugs, but especially the spiders, have personalities. To me, the spiders are kind of the dogs of the insect and spider world. They have varying personalities. Crab spiders have personalities that you can really see. But the jumping spiders are very curious. I can pick up jumping spiders a lot of times. A lot of times I can't avoid it. They try to jump on me to figure out what's going on. They might see my flash go off whenever I take their picture, and they'll turn and face the flash, which actually is very helpful because I get those good head-on shots whenever they do that. A lot of times they'll jump on my flash, crawl onto my camera, trying to figure out what's going on. I can pick them up and they look at me, and they're just very curious animals, and they're very neat to watch.
Very cool. That's amazing. So it's really all about understanding your subject then?
Very much so.
So that would be, of course, the same with people, but you're applying it to something radically different here.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. And so, but how do you compose a picture?
Well, when I compose a picture, it's very difficult. I have taken a picture that I took it last year that shows how small some of the subjects that I actually take are. It's a picture of a hoverfly that landed on my thumb, and we were at a picnic. So I grabbed my camera that I had just for family pictures and took a picture of it just to show how big it is and how small it is. And it turned out really well because I had just taken a picture of the same type of hoverfly probably just a few days prior, and it gave a really good sense of perspective of how big or how small some of the insects that I take actually are.
A good people photographer is successful because they learn how to anticipate what people do, how they react with each other, how they interact with people, how they respond to things that come up, maybe a surprise. How do you, Nathaniel, how do you do that with bugs? I mean, you can't exactly talk to them.
Well, after you study them for a while, if you watch the movements of some of the bugs, wasps, spiders, whatever it is, you can kind of start to see that a lot of them will react the same. So, for example, on hoverflies, this hoverfly picture, I found the hoverfly and it was cleaning itself for a while and it would kind of shift, and I could tell a few times when it looked like it was about to fly away, I could tell what direction I thought it was going to fly. So what I did is I backed my focus up just a little bit to where I thought the bug would be as soon as it flew, and I just sat there and waited, and after about 30 seconds the bug took off, and as soon as I saw it take off, I took 3 shots, and one of the 3 pictures was this one, which happened to turn out great. So by anticipating the movement of the hoverfly, I was able to see kind of where it was able to go and able to get a picture of it in flight, which was quite an achievement for me. I was very excited about that picture, and wouldn't have been able to do it if I hadn't tried to anticipate what the fly was going to do.
You've got a magnificent picture of a wasp. How do you approach something that is notoriously cranky and can hurt you?
You have to, again, just kind of learn the subject. I've studied wasps, I've researched some of their behaviors, and one of the things I found is, of course, you always need to use subtle movements around bugs or spiders. They scare easily. A lot of people don't realize the spider's probably more scared of them than they are of it. So if you approach it quickly, it's going to run away, or a wasp would fly away. So I always approach my subject very slowly and try to not startle them. With wasps, if you approach them not near their nest, I've found that they are not nearly as cranky as they are when they're around their nest. If they're not trying to protect their nest, they're not really concerned with what's going on there around them nearly as much. So this picture of the wasp I was able to get by our wooden bench in our front flower bed, and it was gathering wood for its nest, but it was far away from where its nest was, so I was able to approach it slowly, slowly creep in on it, and get quite a few pictures of it while it was gathering wood for its nest, and the wasp never was bothered by me and never threatened me. So a lot of it is really just about learning the behaviors of your subject, how they react in different situations, a lot like you would with people photography.
Okay. Well, the picture of the wasp, is that something that you could do with your point and shoot camera, for example?
Surprisingly, you can do quite a bit with a point and shoot camera. You don't always have to have the big camera. I have a little Nikon point and shoot that I use sometimes, and a lot of times I will go out with the purpose of trying to take good pictures with a point and shoot camera, just to kind of show other people that you don't have to always have the big expensive equipment. Now, things like really tiny hoverflies, it really helps to have the big camera, but some of the bigger subjects like butterflies and things like that, you really don't have to have the expensive equipment.
Well, what is it that you use? Can you give us some examples, please?
Yes, I use a Nikon D7000, and I have it attached to a dedicated macro lens. It's a 180 millimeter Tamron lens. It gets you pretty close to bugs, but it didn't get me close enough. So after I'd had it for about 6 months, I started researching and found a few things that I could use to get closer. So I have a extension tube on it right here, and then I have a 1.4x teleconverter. And basically what that does is it just increases the magnification beyond what my macro lens can do on its own. If somebody has a camera like this, like a D60 or a Canon, entry-level Canon digital SLR, they can actually get extension tubes, teleconverters, and things like that for the lens that they got with their camera. And a lot of those lenses will work with this and allow them to get closer so that they can start experimenting. My whole thing is trying to spend the least amount of money to see if you're interested in it. You don't want to put $700 or $800 into an expensive lens and then find, I'm not sure that I really enjoy macro, and then you've got this expensive paperweight that you're never going to use. So that's a good way. There's also some really high quality filters that run $80 or $90. A Raynox DCR 250 will attach on the front of most lenses. It will even attach on the front of some point and shoot cameras. and it gives you the ability to get closer and take some of those closer up pictures. Great way for you to get started and see if it's something that you might be interested in.
Okay. So it really doesn't matter what brand or what model it is. To do the kind of things you're talking about, you're suggesting requires interchangeable lenses.
Yes.
So Pentax, Nikon, Canon, Olympus, any of those can possibly do this, as well as with the close-up filter that you talked about.
Definitely.
So it's not a real big investment. A macro lens is excellent for things like flowers and small objects, and the other things that you've added let you really get down into, for lack of a better word, the bug's life.
Definitely.
Okay, so Nathaniel, we talked earlier about the comparison between people pictures and bug pictures. With people pictures, really, we're trying to capture someone's personality, and that comes through best through the eyes. You've heard the expression, the sparkle in the eyes. Is that also true of insects?
Definitely. You always want to try to get the eyes in focus and try and capture the face of the bug, and the personality of a bug a lot relies in its eyes too. The jumping spiders will a lot of times cock their head sideways and look at you, and look up at you, and their eyes will change by where they're looking, and it's just, you can capture a lot of personality about the spiders, and it's more with spiders than insects, but you can capture a lot of the personality in the way the bug's eyes are and the directions they're looking and things like that.
So the segue from people photography to insect photography is not all that different, except that it's how much closer you are.
Really, it's not. The technique of how you get those shots is quite a bit different, but the thoughts behind it and things like that are a lot very similar.
Well, and how do you go about composing a picture? You mentioned the bug tilting its head. How would you respond to that kind of behavior on the part of the bug?
Well, I try to follow the rule of thirds a lot of times, and the rule of thirds is where you take the square or rectangular picture and you divide it into third sections horizontally, divide it into third sections vertically, and you do this virtually, and you imagine trying to place your subject in one of the third, top right, bottom left third corners where the lines meet. So by doing this, you a lot of times want to leave, you will have your bug or spider not right in the middle of the frame, and I always try to compose it and pose, so to say, the bug or spider to where there's more space in front of it, so it's in the top right third, facing towards the bottom left corner of the frame. Then it's got a sense of what the bug is looking at. It helps you capture the personality by seeing kind of what is interesting the bug or spider at the time.
So leaving a little bit of space around it gives it kind of a context.
It does, and there's some pictures that I take where it's zoomed in really close and the entire picture is framed by the bug or spider. But a lot of times when you're trying to capture personality, you want to leave a little bit of space around the bug to try to kind of get a sense of where it's at, a little bit of perspective.
Okay. Well, how would you use a piece of equipment? I mean, this odd device here, it's got a camera, of course, but it's got bellows and something else. How would you use this or this particular camera? How would you hold it to be effective?
Well, this is the one I use more often than anything, and this is the one I walk around the yard with. I get some strange comments from neighbors whenever they see me crawling through the yard carrying this, whenever they see me hunting around my mailbox or inside of my mailbox looking for bugs. This is what I use to walk around the yard with. Whenever I'm shooting and you're shooting things that are magnified that close, you have to be very steady. So I always take my camera, whether I'm using the point and shoot, something like this, or any combination. I always try to tuck my elbows in real tight, and I hold the camera up, and you hold it and kind of want to push it against your face, not kind of like that, and that helps support it. Your face will stop it from moving. Your arms tucked in keep you from moving. If you're out like this, you're going to have a lot more movement. So you want to stay kind of tight.
So you don't sit there and look at the screen like this,
no,
like a lot of people do.
No, you don't shoot like that because you have so many little movements that can go on like that. So you always want to hold it up real tight to you. A lot of times if I'm taking pictures and there's an object up high, I have to stand. But if the situation ever arises to where I can sit, I can get much steadier shots. Think of it as a tripod for a camera. If it only had 2 legs, it's not going to be very sturdy. But as soon as you sit down, you have 3 points of contact when you're sitting and those 3 points of contact help you to be more steady. You can support your elbows on your knees, and just the more points of contact you can make between the camera and the ground, the steadier you're gonna be, and the easier it's gonna be to get those pictures.
And that seems to make perfect sense. Now, you also talked about your neighbors thinking, well, you've got in this case, an eccentric younger neighbor, running around doing goofy things, as opposed to someone who may be quite a bit older and as people may talk about. So, what do you find the most fun, aside from the whole concept of insects? What do you find the most fun about what you do?
It's kind of the hunt. Probably the way a hunter enjoys going out and trying to find.
That's a good analogy.
Trying to find a deer or whatever. They enjoy the hunt or enjoy the process of fishing as much as they do reeling in the fish. So I enjoy. It's a great way, and it's easy for me at any time. My kids can be napping, or it's easy for me to just run out for 20, 30 minutes and kind of do the hunt of trying to find the bugs, and that is as much enjoyment. And that's a learning process as much as taking pictures, learning how to find them, where to find them.
How do you use the bellows? How does this work?
Well, the bellows, the way it works is this is just if I want to get more magnification than I can get with this system. I can get pretty close with this, but there's some things that I want that are even closer, or I want a really close-up shot like this picture of the butterfly. I wanted to get really, really close and show what the eye looks like, the proboscis or kind of tongue-like thing that comes out. I wanted to get a really close-up shot and see what that was like. So this gives me the ability to do that. I can adjust how much magnification I get by sliding this in. I get less magnification. If I pull this out, I get a lot more magnification, so I can get closer to the bug by how I adjust this.
So it's almost like a microscope.
Very, very much like a microscope. This, whenever I take pictures with this or my regular macro, the amount that's in focus is very, very small. I mean, maybe 2 or 3 millimeters is in focus. So I have to do some techniques like focus stacking, where I take different parts in focus and then combine them all together to get greater focus. But again, it's the hunt and it's the process of getting from looking for the bug and getting that final picture. That entire process is what is so enjoyable.
And to do something like this, I'm looking at a piece of brand new digital equipment, yet these bellows and this lens are 30 or 40 years old. It looks like there's a whole lot of old film accessories that could easily adapt to this.
Definitely so. As far as that goes, there's a lot of lenses out there you can get. And one technique that photographers that do macro use a lot is reversing a lens. You can take something like a $100 50mm 1.8 lens and reverse it on the front of your camera, and a lot of people already have that.
Is that something like this ring?
Very much like this.
Okay.
Yep, and this ring allows you to reverse.
Okay, that was close.
This ring costs maybe $10 or $15, and it'll allow you to reverse a lens like that onto the front of your camera, even without the bellows, and you can get a lot of magnification. If you already have something like the 50mm lens, something like this is about $15, and it lets you kind of get into it and get started with it. Some of the first shots I ever did with macro were a reverse 50mm lens.
So these are the kinds of things that when you join, if you were to join Shutter Junkies, Ozarks Shutter Junkies, you could get more specifics about this. The learning opportunity is out there, the fun opportunity is out there. If you join Shutter Junkies, no cost. We have some field trips. We go out and play a lot. We're going to be out one night soon, hopefully doing meteor pictures or comet pictures. This year we've got 2 comets coming in. And we just go out as a group, play, make friends, and have a good time. So there'll be more spotlights to come for Shutter Junkies. And I want to thank very much for Nathanael Siders for coming in. I've been doing pictures for many, many years. This is something that is just almost beyond my comprehension. It's so, in effect, simple to do just by going out and doing it and learning more. Just like with people, learn your subject. As you've done here, you're almost the spider whisperer. Thank you very much for watching. You're about to see the spring collection of beautiful Missouri photographs taken by Ozarks Shutter Junkies, and we will see you next time.